institution, I am deeply honored as the president of this esteemed institution. I am deeply honored to welcome you all to a gathering of men, Reunion 2023. This is a momentous occasion as we celebrate 156 years of academic excellence and the contributions of Morehouse men to the world. This weekend promises to be a time for renewing the friendships and reconnecting to the institution that continues to mold and nurture servant leaders. I encourage both new graduates and seasoned alumni to reflect on the impact Morehouse College has had on our personal development and the enduring legacy of excellence that continues to inspire a global community. We have many events planned for your enjoyment, each designed as an opportunity to reunite with fellow alumni and friends of the college, and to establish new ways to be involved in the life of Morehouse. I hope you will fully take part in these events and make a gift that ensures our forever capacity. As part of our celebration, we will highlight the college's capital campaign to raise $500 million and our initiative, Making Men of Consequence. Your support for these endeavors will help shape the leaders of the next century, and we encourage you to join us in our efforts.
We encourage you to take a tour of the campus and see what's changed since your time here. We invite you to join us on Sunday for the crowning jewel of the weekend, the commencement ceremony. Coming to you next is a live presentation by Mr. Sule Carpenter from the Department of Campus Operations. He will share what's happening at the house.
How's my audio? All right, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Good morning, everyone. Make sure that my presentation is queued up and ready to go. I was told I had to push the green button and everything would work well. We'll give our video technicians an opportunity to share with us. Wonderful. So, again, good morning. My name is Sule Carpenter. I am the Senior Project Manager in the Morehouse College Office of Campus Operations. More important than my title, this morning I am pleased to announce that I am celebrating 25 years of brotherhood with the class of 1998. I look out into the audience, I see my friends, I see my family, I see individuals that were groomsmen in my wedding, that are my children's godparents. Welcome home, everyone. Welcome back to the house. I've been asked to share with you and provide an update on the college's plans going forward. What we have planned specifically as it relates to the physical development and transformation of our campus, particularly with the development of a new student housing and campus center. I think you'll be very pleased with the information that we have to share today. So I'm getting started, recognizing I'm speaking to a group of alumni. I wanted to take a step back and be sure that everyone was aware of where our college stands today. Particularly if you've been away from the school for some time, you may not know, and you'll tell me if you can see my laser pointer, and you may or may not, but nevertheless, from the southern edge of campus is now Norcross Street. That's the building that we're sitting in this morning, the Ray Charles Performing Arts Center. Our campus now extends all the way north to Beckwith Street, Those are the Otis Moss Suites. Our western boundary continues to remain at Ashby Street, which is now Joseph Lowry. Our eastern boundary remains Old Lee Lane. Okay. Moving forward, let's take a look at how we got to where we are today. I wanted to go back about 30 years or so and take a look at the development activity that's taken place since then. So in 1990, we added neighbor Mattock Bay here to the historic quad. In 1991, we added Brazil Hall. And for our older alumni, Brazil Hall was formerly referred to as Forbes Hall. Kilgore Student Center was added in 1992. And the Forbes Arena, Purdue Hall, and the tennis courts were all added in 1996 in preparation for the Centennial Olympic Games. In 2002, we added the Technology Tower. So for those of you all that are not familiar with Tech Tower, that is the glass structure that joins Merrill Hall and Hope Hall, again, on the Century campus. In 2002, we also added phase 1 of our parking deck. The following year, we added the Otis Moss Suites. The Massey Leadership Center was added in 2005. Phase 2 of our parking deck in 2009, and the Ray Charles Performing Arts Center, again, the building where we sit today, was added in 2010. What hasn't changed? If you take a look at our campus, what's the area that's remained unchanged? It's been this central campus. This is the campus that was constructed between 1960 and 1978. And this is the campus that most of us as alumni know, love, and appreciate. We're talking about Brawley Hall, Wheeler Hall, Dansby Hall. We've got Mays Hall, we've got White Hall, we've got Hubert, we've got Douglas, we've got Du Bois, and we've got what we're currently named the Living Learning Center, which was formerly Thurman Hall. As the president announced in his video, in 2021, he launched a $500 million capital campaign. One of the key pillars of his capital campaign was the Campus for the Future. In making that announcement, he shared some words that I thought were very compelling and I wanted to be sure to discuss with you today. So he said that we must engage emerging technologies to prepare Morehouse students for a future with challenges not yet known. We aim for a state-of-the-art environment as we build and adapt our facilities to ready graduates for success in the 21st century. And given facility and technology enhancements at competing higher education institutions, Morehouse can't afford to stand still. The need to modernize and expand our facilities and infrastructure is critical. Just to share a personal anecdote with you, I have a 19-year-old son that's a freshman here at Morehouse, okay? As he was making his decision about which colleges to attend, he visited Howard, he visited Hampton, he visited Morgan State, he visited A&T, he went down to FAMU, he saw Tuskegee, and he had to make a choice to really decide to say, in spite of those things that I see on these other campuses, Morehouse is the place for me. And he made that decision in spite of our facilities, in spite of ways in which we lag behind. We want to be competitive with our peer institutions. We want to ensure that as members, particularly in my class, that have kids that are either preparing to attend college or already there, that we can make a case, that we can make a more compelling case about the school and institution that we know and love. So, having said that the college committed to the Campus of the Future, President Thomas actually provided us with resources to go out and really work towards actualizing that vision. We hired an architecture firm in 2022 named Moody Nolan and Associates. They're actually located in Columbus, Ohio. They are a minority-owned firm, and they've completed over 70 projects on 32 HBCU campuses. So they're bringing to Morehouse a wealth of expertise and capacity. You see some of their accolades are listed. They're not all visible on the screen, but nevertheless, they've really demonstrated their capacity and know-how and knowledge on behalf of the college. They shared with us during their response to our request for qualifications 12 projects that they completed, again, on other campuses that were comparable to what we were looking at. We were very, very impressed with the thoroughness of their response and their capacity and knowledge base, and determined that they were the right fit for Morehouse and the colleges that, and the plans that we have for moving the college forward. When we executed our contract with Moody Nolan, the staff from their Atlanta office descended on our campus. And when I say descended, I mean they descended. They walked every square inch of our campus, every building, every parking lot, every bit of green space that we have. And they reviewed it with a professional lens and made a determination that in order to transform this portion of campus, that we had to make some tough decisions and consider demolition of certain structures that, again, as alumni, we all know and love. First to go would be Hubert Hall, Whitehall, and Douglas. In addition to that, they suggested eliminating the existing surface parking that we have in the central campus as well. Tennis courts will be going as well, and finally, our cafeteria, Lane and Shivers Hall. If we follow the architect's recommendation and move forward with this plan, they promise that they can deliver our campus of the future, our concept. So what we see here, I hope you all can see my laser pointer. First and foremost, take a step back and just say that the thing that jumped out at me when I first was presented with this plan was the amount of green space that they're actually proposing. This is a scenario where you don't know what you're missing until you're presented with an alternative. Our existing campus, particularly that central core that we're referring to, has little to no green space at all. So they're talking about bringing green space at every point possible. They're proposing a new campus center here on the former location of Hubert, White, and Douglas Halls. They're proposing a new residence hall on the site of our former tennis courts. Additionally, they're proposing renovations and extensions to our existing academic buildings, including Dansby, Brawley, and Wheeler Halls. These additions, which are not showing up well on the screen, but they are reorienting the buildings towards Brown Street and also towards the new campus center. One other thing of importance to note, Brown Street becomes a new promenade, no longer open to vehicular access. In talking to our architects, they indicated that this would be required in order to remove the inherent vehicular and pedestrian conflicts that we have on our campus every day. Again, our surface parking has been eliminated, and they've recommended parking on the periphery of campus here on the south side of, north side of Westview Drive, and also on Old Lee Lane, here on the perimeter. In addition to that, because I think we may have a question just regarding, so how do we service the campus center if this is no longer open to vehicular access? So we'll be using the access road here with access directly off of Lowry, again, formerly Ashby, to actually bring trucks in and service our campus center. The Student Campus Center is proposed at 80,000 square feet. Okay. We've got a variety of uses here, student support classrooms, retail dining, student services, enrollment management, dining, as well as shared building services. Our residence hall is proposed at 134,000 square feet, again with uses that you'd expect to see in a residence hall. Let's go into more detail about the campus center and give you a first look. What's being proposed is a modern curved building with a facade that includes both metal and brick. This is the view that's actually standing from Kilgore. If you were standing on the steps of the Kilgore Center facing south, this is the view that you'd see. You'd see a two-story building. What's interesting, what I find interesting at least, is that the architects have actually taken the existing topography and maximized it in a way such that they're hiding the third floor of the building. So if you're standing on the quad looking north, the new quad, looking north, what you'll see is a three-story building. And one of the showcase pieces of the building will be a stairway that allows you to walk from the quad through the building up to Kilgore. This is the view from Brown Street. So if we were leaving King Chapel and walking up towards Kilgore, this is the view that you'd see. Let's talk about the inside of the building and what's actually being included. First floor, this ground floor here will actually be our cafeteria. Our second floor will include retail food, a convenience store, and classrooms. And our third floor will be considered our one-stop shop for student services and student organizations. Let's take a closer look. And I'm sorry that our colors are really being washed out on this screen today. The screen is doing us somewhat of a disservice in that regard. Nevertheless, this third floor includes, again, our cafeteria. You see service stations here, food service stations, if you can follow my laser pointer there. We've got ample seating. This area here is actually outdoor seating. We've got faculty dining here as well as back of house operations, again, for the food service staff. Our second floor, and again, I apologize, this isn't a little clearer. It seems like we're getting a glimpse of it as we transition, but we'll move forward with what we have. We're proposing academic classrooms in this northwestern corner of this diagram. We've got a convenience store here in the center. We've got retail food outlets here, so this may be a Subway, a Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, who knows, but it provides an opportunity for students to come, and if they're not interested in eating food in the cafeteria, they'll have options here. There's actually a lot of seating that's outside of this area as well, which gives students the opportunity to engage in informal learning sessions. Sit, relax, chat with faculty, chat with staff, chat with other students, study, whatever it is. We want this to be a home for our students that are on campus, but also our commuter students. If you're a commuter student and you have class at 9 a.m., and your next class isn't scheduled until 2, what do you do between those intervening hours? This will be a home to those students. Our third floor, I described that as our one-stop shop. Again, gentlemen, I apologize that our colors aren't showing up because this is a color-coded presentation here. But we've got room for our student organizations. We have financial aid, academic advising, and financial services, and our registrar, all being scheduled for this third floor of our new proposed student center. If you are a student that's currently enrolled at Morehouse College and you have business to attend to, this is your location, okay? Again, we've included ample lobby and lounge space. We have open workstations for students. We have, again, space for student life. There's a discussion about including counseling and accessibility in there as well, in addition to academic tutoring. To make a point, we're losing Douglas Hall, and what we'd like to do is include those functions that are currently in Douglas Hall in the new campus center. Our residence hall. What's currently being proposed is a big building, okay? We're talking about 368 beds divided into 4-bedroom suites, 252 of those, a 2-bed suites of 100. We've got 14 rooms for our RAs, and we've got 2 suites for our resident directors. This is the rendering of the proposed residence hall. So we've got a view from Lowry, again, formerly Ashby Street, and we have a view from Westview Drive. This is your view from the new quad. So we haven't finalized the exterior as of yet, and we're continuing to work with our architect to refine the design, and these are some of the decision-making points that we are considering. One of the things that is very nice about the residence hall, and very functional for that matter, is that we are proposing both 4 beds, let's go back. We're proposing both 4-bedroom suites and 2-bedroom suites, as well as 1-bedroom units. You'll note that the square footage of the 4-bedroom and the 2-bedroom is actually identical. So structurally, there's no difference between our 4-bedroom units and our 2-bedroom units. The only difference will be the amount of furniture that we put into each room. This gives our residential staff the opportunity and flexibility to be able to increase the number of students per room or decrease the number of students per room based on swells or changes in enrollment. If, for example, we move forward with the demolition of LLC or Old Thurman Hall to build a new dorm, we could actually build that capacity into this existing building. Again, I'm sorry for the colors. It's just really not showing up in the manner that I had anticipated. Nevertheless, let's see. The proposed dormitory includes a multi-purpose room. We've got lounge space. We've actually got storage included here. There's space for our administrative space for our residential staff. We've got apartments for the RDs, the resident directors, and we have suites on this ground floor. Going up to floors 2 through 6, you'll see more residential units, including both the 4-bedroom and 2-bedroom suites, as well as several singles for the RAs. We're also including, may not be clear here, but we are including lounge space and study space at the ends of the hallway. See that on the ends of each building. So we have 2 buildings. The east wing's a little bit taller than the west wing. So what you'll see here on floors 7, 8, and 9 of that proposed east wing, more residential units, along with study rooms on the side. One of the other things that's important to note is that, again, we are attempting to provide modern housing that meets the needs of our current students. We've actually taken a step back and provided gender-neutral restrooms for our guests that may be coming for a visit. I can tell you that when I was a student and we had a guest come over to visit, we had to walk those young ladies into the men's restroom, wait outside their stall, and then bring them back later that evening. So what we're trying to do, again, is provide for the needs of our students, provide for the needs of our guests, and ensure that everyone is in a safe and secure environment. Let's move ahead. This is the vertical diagram of the building. Again, it just shows the way those units stack. I mentioned previously that there's really no structural difference between our 2-bedroom suites and our 4-bedroom suites, and it's designed that way intentionally. Let's take a look at the 3D rendering of our new campus of the future. Again, standing at the intersection of Lowry, which was previously which was previously Ashby Street, and Westview Drive, you'll see our new proposed residence hall. You'll also see our campus center. We're also showing on this rendering the additions and renovations to Brawley, Dansby, and Wheeler Halls. Let's take a look inside of the building. To continue through the building, if that's your choice path. We've got a cafeteria on the ground floor. We've incorporated a social staircase into the design. Outdoor seating. A view at the academic buildings. And a final view of the proposed green space. What's the timeline? How are we moving forward? Again, our president announced the capital campaign in 2021. We've secured financing and are prepared to move forward with the campus center immediately. We began our architectural design work in November of 2022, and that's the schematic design renderings that I've shared with you today. That work we expect to be complete by May of 2024. That includes permitting at the City of Atlanta, and shortly thereafter, we'll be able to begin construction. Our residence hall, we're currently projecting staggering that by 1 year, but we anticipate, again, having construction documents already ready and prepared to go, we anticipate starting construction by June of 2025. Gentlemen, that concludes my presentation on the campus of the future. May I ask if there are questions, comments, from anyone here in the audience? Nope, we got it.
I'm Grady Dunn, class of '88. I was in ROTC when I was at Morehouse College, and they have a unit in one of the residence halls, Whitehall.
That's correct.
So where would they be? We had a big effort, the veterans groups, to move them back to the center of campus, and that's worked out well. We want to try to maintain that.
That's a great comment. I should share with you that one of the other components that we're doing is we're completing a space audit of the areas that have been vacated to fill the new student center. So we will be identifying locations for all of the spaces that have been vacated, as well as the spaces that have been eliminated. So as far as the students that are part of the ROTC program, that'll be incorporated into that study. So whether they're moved into, whether it be Thurman Hall or Du Bois, or they're included on a floor or a suite or a wing of our new residence hall, we'll be sure to incorporate them and not use that use. Absolutely.
Also, Ron Pollock. On the slide presentation, you said 328 beds is part of the projection.
That's correct.
What is the current number of beds on campus now?
Well, I don't have the total number of beds that are on campus, but with respect to the units that are being removed, Hubert and Whitehall specifically, we've got 266 beds that we're pulling out. We're replacing them with that 368 that I referenced during the slideshow. Sure.
Lane C. Johnson, senior, class 93, Graves Hall, greatest dorm on the campus. My son is scheduled to come here hopefully in 1 year. He plays tennis and he's high ranked. You got rid of the tennis courts. I didn't see the addition of any.
And I apologize. I'm actually having trouble hearing you.
I said my son should be coming here in about a year, and he's highly ranked tennis. And so
yes.
I saw you got rid of the tennis courts. Just trying to figure out, is there a plan to put new tennis courts somewhere on campus?
So that's a great question, a very valid one, and very important one as well. So our athletic team will make provisions to ensure that there are accommodations for the individuals that play tennis. There are other tennis courts and competition-level tennis courts in the immediate area within a 1-mile radius of campus. So temporarily, they may be playing there, okay? And at some point, we will announce plans to develop new tennis courts somewhere close to campus as well.
So there is no plans right now to put it.
No, there are plans. We've consulted with the athletic director. He is aware of the implication of this plan and knows what steps he has to take to secure tennis courts for his team going forward.
Yeah, because he's getting old.
Morning, brothers.
Good morning.
Dadisi Olutosin, class of '88. That's right. All day, every day, grade 88. My question has to do with disruption. So there's a tremendous amount of change that is going to happen in the central part of the campus. How is that going to impact the students during the school year? I'm assuming that a lot of the demolition is going to be done over the summer, but there was nothing really addressing how's that going to impact the students that are coming on campus. What are the plans around that? And then, of course, where the hell are the tennis courts going to be?
Okay. I can promise you we're not messing with Robert Hall. Let's start there. Let's start there. With respect to disruption, you are absolutely right. This will be a challenge that we will be managing as this construction takes place. Okay. One of the first concerns, obviously, is the demolition of both Hubert White and then Douglas Halls as well. So we're working with other institutions here in the AUC, as well as some private housing developers, to identify temporary space for our students during that period that those residence halls have been demolished and prior to this residence hall coming online. All right. With respect to the student center itself and the construction that's going to take place, again, that's going to be a 2-year period, but we will be working to ensure that we're minimizing the disruption to the students to the best that we can. But in order to move forward, we have to make somewhat of a mess for that period of time. Yeah, I see a few more hands, more questions.
Morning. My name is Greg Davis, class of 2008. I have a question. So when we kind of talk about disruptions, as far as admissions go, do you expect to see a decrease in admissions over those 3-year period that you're working on the campus? It just normally, I think we normally bring in around 400 to 500 people, students every year. What's the expectation for admissions?
So unfortunately, that's not a question that I can answer directly. I'm not sure what the plans are, what the expectations are for admissions during that period. I would hope to see admissions remain steady, but I'm in campus operations. I'm not in the admissions department. But we will have conversations about that and be sure to consider that as well as we go forward.
Sharon Darris, class of 98. Just a very quick comment / question. So I noticed this new facility, it's beautiful, and it's clearly intended to match what many college campuses look like across the country now if they've been built in the last 10 years. It's clearly allowing lots of light, natural light to come in, but it did occur to me that it doesn't seem to match most of the rest of the campus, even the more recent buildings. And so I'm just sort of curious what the leadership is thinking about in terms of what the aesthetic is going to look like of this new facility versus the rest of the campus.
Sharon, I appreciate that. Sharon is one of my classmates. Again, celebrating 25 years. Congratulations to you as well. With respect to the aesthetic, it is a new aesthetic for campus. We all can see and recognize that. What we're looking to do, quite frankly, with the development of both the campus center and the residence hall, is establish a new aesthetic for this portion of campus. What I'm sharing with you marks the start of a transformation. So if it appears out of place initially, that's fine, because the rest of that portion of campus will catch up.
Good morning, Lorenz Willis, class of 90. I want to share my question with regard to the financials and the money that would be dedicated to groundskeeping. It looks beautiful and the green spaces are phenomenal. One of the challenges that we've had historically from the time that I got here to now is campus beautification, and I'd like to hear what the plans are for ensuring that we'll address those appropriately.
Sure, that's a great question as well, and I do appreciate it. I'll say that, you know, since we were students on campus, Morehouse has actually outsourced its groundskeeping operation. We have a private firm, Aramark, that manages day-to-day maintenance of the buildings as well as our grounds, okay? My office actually oversees that contract, and we oversee the relationship with Aramark, and we are very diligent about ensuring that our grounds are well maintained on a day-to-day basis, whether it's graduation season or, you know, middle of the semester. We work very hard with that, so thank you for that question. See a few more hands. It's a little after 11. Let's plan to take, how many hands do we have? How many more questions do we have? Let's take this last set of 4 questions, it looks like.
George Britt, class of 88. Question, what are we going to do to memorialize the history of the campus? Are there going to be any markers? For example, when I was a freshman, I stayed at Quarles Courts, the units destroyed, demolished, Kilgore Center's there now, but I don't recall there being a marker to say once stood here. I'm going to go up there and take a look. But what are we going to do to memorialize the campus?
That's a great question and a great point, but I will note with our team as we move forward. We are working to ensure that, some of these critical names that are being lost by demolition will be incorporated in a variety of ways into both the student center and the residence halls. Okay? And we are working with our campus archivists to work through monuments and memorials to some of those buildings and structures that may have been lost to time. We have 3 more questions.
Eric Nobles, class of 93, the first large class in this school's history, 526, 1993. The question that I have is that what percentage of minority firms are going to be participating in this so we can continue to transfer wealth and that we can have opportunities like this to embolden us in these business opportunities?
That's a fantastic question as well. Again, with respect to the architecture firm, the architects that have hired, that is a minority firm, 100% minority owned. With respect to the general contractor, we have not hired that individual as of yet, or that firm as of yet, but we will be working to ensure that if they are not a minority owned firm, that they hire a certain percentage that's acceptable to the college of minority owned contractors, of minority subcontractors as well. Okay? I don't have that percentage for you as of yet, but that'll certainly be noted as we move forward. Yes, we do. Yes. We will be in conversation with each of those firms, I assure you. Sure. I'm familiar with all of them personally. Uh-huh. Again, valid point, great point. I'll be sure to research that a little more on my end personally, but it certainly is a value of the college, obviously, and something that we will be considering as we move forward with this particular development. That's a great question as well. As we're continuing to work with our architects, what we've done so far is the schematic design phase. We'll be entering into the design development phase next. And during that phase, we'll be working with the architect to consider various green elements that can be included into the design of the proposed student center and residence hall. We'll also be determining the cost of those proposals as well, and making a determination about how we move forward with each proposal that that is recommended. So I know we had a question on this side of the room as well.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Max Anderson, class of 1983, Ebony Magazine class.
There we go. There we go.
And my question deals with the land that is also undeveloped in terms that we own, that perhaps what is expected from that other, like the land that is on Lowry, across from Lowry, used to be a washing laundromat. That land over that's fenced in, what's the expectation for expansion or moving forward with that other undeveloped land other than what we're...
So you're referring to the land that's west of the college, west of Lowry. So some of this land is actually owned by the Atlanta Housing Authority, and the college is in constant conversations with Atlanta Housing regarding their proposed development plans for that particular land. The college does own some assets west of Lowry as well, and we are currently considering our options for maximizing the use of that land as we move forward. I'll take one final question. I see a hand up over here. We're a little after 11 o'clock.
Don Taylor, class of 2013, President Obama's class. So the question I have, twofold. One, my brother mentioned a level of like expansion. You also hinted at it. What is the idea to purchase additional lands? Like what's currently happening? And then the second thing, you mentioned the capital campaign at the beginning of this, but you really haven't talked about is this paid for? And I'll tell you, in the 14 years since I started Morehouse, I've seen probably 4 presentations like this, and not one has went to construction. And so I saw those dates, but I'm actually not clear that the money is already available for this.
Great question. This is a very astute bunch, and I don't expect anything less from graduates of Morehouse College. So to answer your last point, yes, we have funding in place to move forward with the development of the Student Center as it's been described in the presentation within 1 year. Again, also having been a student here some 25 years ago at this point, I've seen a number of these presentations as well. The difference here is that, again, we have a president that's actually committed the financing to move forward with the development. There was one other point of your question. I want to make sure I got it. Expansion. So, sure. One of the things I've been tasked with as a senior project manager in the Office of Campus Operations is managing the college's existing vacant land portfolio and actually looking at opportunities to acquire new land. One of the challenges that we have is that, again, we are not a state institution. We're not Georgia State, we're not the University of Georgia, we're not Georgia Tech. We don't have the power of eminent domain. I can't go out and identify a lot and force that individual to sell it to the college for economic development benefit or purpose or anything of that nature at all. So we work strategically to identify parcels that are on the market, and when we have the resources to do so, we make acquisitions that are, again, in the college's best interest. We do have a plan in place to acquire more land with willing sellers at prices that are negotiated at market rate. Unless there's any final question, and I'll gladly take one more. Absolutely, absolutely. So nothing changes with respect to the actual, with respect to the perimeter of campus. So this remains fenced in as it is today. We have our guardhouse here at the intersection of Lowry and Westview that will remain in place. There will be limited access to the residence hall from Westview Drive. We're actually going to encourage everyone to come in and out from the actual new quad that we're proposing. We'll be using technology as well as the building's designed to help enhance security to the extent that we're able to, whether that be via security camera or card access to the key entry points. Those are items that we're currently considering and working into design as we move forward. With that, I'm going to make that my final question. I'm going to conclude my presentation, but in doing so, again, in honor of the 25 years that I've been an alum of this school, I'm very happy to see you, and I would personally like to welcome you all back to the House. Thank you.